Archangel Michael says, "Heaven has already released a gentle wind of grace that carries within it the fragrance of blessings, and among these blessings is the promise of a financial miracle that is moving toward your life with certainty and divine intention, because God has seen the sincerity of your heart. He has seen the ways you have continued to hold on to His love when things were heavy upon your shoulders. And He has watched with joy as you trusted Him even when the days felt uncertain." Type Amen if you believe. As the gates of blessing swing open in the heavenly realms, what is being poured into your life is not only provision for your needs, but also a river of hope that will flow into every corner of your home, making dry places flourish again, renewing your faith, and reminding you that God has never once forgotten you, for every prayer whispered in secret has reached His heart, and every moment of sacrifice has been noticed and treasured. Subscribe to this channel if you want to feel God's presence daily. The miracle that is on its way is more than numbers in an account or coins in a hand. It is the unfolding of divine generosity that touches both the spiritual and the earthly, for God desires that you live not only with enough for today but also with the peace of knowing tomorrow will be held in His care, and as His child you will never be left without a covering of love and a table prepared before you. Every seed of trust you planted in the silence has grown roots deeper than you could imagine, and those unseen roots are now breaking through the soil of your reality, for the ground that once looked empty will soon be filled with the fruit of promise, the kind that not only blesses you but also gives you strength to bless others, and in this way God's love multiplies, spreading out like ripples that never end. You may remember the nights where you counted your worries more than your blessings, when fear seemed louder than hope, yet even then God was arranging unseen miracles, moving hearts, preparing opportunities, and sending angels to guide you toward the moment you now approach, where what felt delayed will arrive with abundance, because His timing is perfect, and His joy in your devotion is overflowing into blessings you did not expect but deeply needed. This financial miracle will carry with it a message deeper than wealth itself, for it will remind you that God is not limited by earthly systems or by the rules of men. He is the creator of all, and when He decides to bless, no barrier can hold back His hand, and no power can close what He has already opened. So your miracle is not only provision but also proof that His promises are living and true, unfolding step by step before your eyes. The joy in God's heart when He looks at your love is immeasurable, because you did not love Him for the sake of what He could give, you loved Him simply because He is worthy of love, and this pure devotion has reached heaven like a song that never fades, and now heaven responds with generosity, with an embrace that will transform not only your finances but also the atmosphere around you, filling your days with lightness and your nights with peace. Type 2323 if you trust in God. Allow your heart to rest in this promise, for miracles are not only sudden bursts of change but also the quiet unfolding of God's eternal plan, and even as you hear these words, He is aligning paths, arranging encounters, and preparing surprises that will show you just how deeply you are cherished, so that when the blessing arrives you will know without doubt that it came not by chance but by the tender hand of your Father who delights in rewarding faith that holds firm until the end. Archangel Michael says, "The treasure of heaven is not like the fleeting wealth of this world that fades with time, for the miracle that is being sent into your life carries the fragrance of eternity. It comes wrapped in the kindness of God's heart, and it will not only provide for the needs that press upon you now but also overflow with enough to make you a source of blessing to others, showing that His love is abundant and never runs dry. Keep listening until the final moment, because the Lord has wrapped this message in His love for you. As the miracle draws closer to your home, imagine it as a river flowing steadily down from the mountain of God's grace, not rushing in haste but moving with certainty, watering the valleys of your life, cleansing away worry, and leaving behind fresh growth where fear once lived. Because the hand of God does not bring temporary relief but lasting change that shapes your tomorrow as much as it heals your today. The gates of blessing have opened wide in the unseen realm, and what pours forth is not only financial provision but also the peace of knowing you are watched over by the One who owns all things, for every coin of gold, every measure of bread, and every harvest of the earth belongs to Him, and He delights in giving to His children not because they demand it, but because they rest in His love and walk faithfully in the path of His light. God's joy over your devotion has been growing like a sunrise, beginning softly in the horizon and now spreading its rays across the sky of your destiny, and this rising light is about to touch every corner of your existence, chasing away the shadows that once held you in doubt, showing you clearly that love without condition is never ignored in heaven, but is always met with kindness that multiplies beyond expectation. The miracle that approaches is a response to the way you chose to love Him when life felt heavy, when circumstances pressed against you, and when you had little but gave your heart freely, because pure love is the greatest treasure you can offer, and heaven treasures it above all things. So now that love returns to you as favor, as open doors, as opportunities that cannot be denied, and as blessings that lift your spirit higher than it has ever been before. Even the smallest details of your life are known by the Lord, and He has written each one into a story where nothing is wasted, where even the moments of lack will now be rewritten as testimonies of His goodness, for what seemed like delay was only preparation, and what felt like silence was only the pause before the song. And soon the melody of provision will rise so clearly in your life that you will look back and see that He was guiding every step toward this very miracle. Type 999 if you trust Jesus. This financial blessing will not arrive empty. It will carry peace for your heart, courage for your spirit, and healing for the places that were worn thin by worry. Because God's blessings are never shallow, they reach into the depths of the soul, lifting burdens that money alone cannot touch, and giving you the freedom to rest in His care, knowing that as He has provided today, He will continue to provide tomorrow and all the days after. Let your heart expand in gratitude even before the miracle arrives, for thanksgiving opens the door wider for blessings to flow, and when your spirit rests in joy, the miracle becomes not just a gift but also a testimony, shining before others who watch and wonder, drawing them closer to the love of God, because your life will become a living story of His kindness, a story that whispers to the world that trust in Him is never misplaced, and that His love never fails. Archangel Michael says, "The miracle that is unfolding for you has already been written into the design of heaven's plan, and every step you have taken in love, faith, and surrender has led you closer to this moment where blessings will no longer be withheld, for God has delighted in the purity of your devotion, and He has chosen this season to let His generosity rest upon your home like morning dew covering the earth after a long night." The gates of blessing have not only opened for your needs but for your future generations, for the goodness of God never stops at one moment or one person. It continues to flow like an endless river that nourishes everything in its path, leaving behind traces of grace that remain long after the first waters pass. And what you are about to receive will carry within it seeds of new beginnings that will touch not only your life but also the lives of those who walk with you. This financial miracle is not limited to numbers or possessions. It is a sign of God's nearness and His joy in your love. It is the evidence that heaven listens, responds, and delights in the heart that chooses Him above all else. And as it enters your life, it will bring with it an assurance that no darkness, no fear, and no difficulty can stand against the strength of His promises. For His word over you is unbreakable and His timing cannot fail. You may feel the weight of past struggles, the memories of waiting, and the ache of unanswered prayers, but even these have been transformed into stepping stones that carried you toward this very hour, because God never wastes pain, and He never overlooks faith. Instead, He weaves them together into a story where the ending is far more beautiful than you ever imagined. And now that story is moving toward a chapter filled with light, abundance, and overflowing joy. As the miracle draws nearer, picture it like a dawn breaking across a silent horizon, first a faint glow that warms your spirit, then a flood of light that covers the whole sky, and just as the sun cannot be stopped from rising, so too the blessing appointed for you cannot be turned away, for what God has declared belongs to you will not be stolen, delayed, or diminished. It will arrive in full strength, carrying the fragrance of heaven's faithfulness. This blessing comes not only to lift you but also to remind you that your Father in heaven is closer than every worry, stronger than every fear, and more generous than every dream you carry, because His heart beats with love for you, and the miracle He is sending will whisper that truth louder than words, showing you that when He opens His hand, nothing can remain empty, and when He sends His favor, nothing can remain broken. Type 1818 to claim miracles. Even now angels are at work around you, preparing the path for this miracle to rest upon your life, arranging details you cannot yet see, shifting what seemed immovable, and guiding you into the fullness of what heaven has promised. And soon you will find that the pieces fall together in ways more perfect than your own planning could ever achieve, because divine order is shaping your tomorrow while you remain held in God's embrace today. So let peace rise within you as you wait, let gratitude be your song even before the miracle is revealed, for in your thanksgiving you are already stepping into the blessing that has been released. And as your heart rejoices, the gates of heaven remain wide open, pouring forth favor, light, and provision, until your home becomes a dwelling place of joy where God's love is not only known but also seen in every detail of your life. Archangel Michael says, "The miracle that is destined for you is moving closer with every passing moment. And though your eyes may not yet see the fullness of it, your spirit already feels the gentle stirring of change, for heaven's breath is upon your life, and God Himself has declared that your season of lack will be replaced with abundance, your tears will be gathered into songs of joy, and your trust will be rewarded with blessings that carry both provision and peace." The financial blessing being released into your home is not a shallow gift that comes and fades, but a fountain that springs forth from God's endless love, flowing in ways that will not only supply your hands but also strengthen your heart, for when He blesses, He does so completely, weaving together care for the body, healing for the soul, and hope for the spirit, so that you are renewed in every part of your being by the richness of His kindness. Heaven has opened the gates wide because God has rejoiced in your faithfulness, and His joy over your love has turned into action, sending forth blessings that will break chains of fear and dissolve the weight of old burdens, for He has watched you walk through seasons where others may have doubted, yet you continue to trust Him, and that unwavering devotion has become like a shining light before His throne, drawing His favor upon you in this hour of release. Think of the miracle as a seed planted long ago by your prayers, watered by your faith, and nurtured by your patience, and now that seed has grown strong in the unseen soil of heaven's garden, ready to bear fruit in your life, and the harvest will not be small or hidden, but visible, abundant, and filled with joy, because when God brings a harvest, He fills the baskets until they overflow, leaving no space untouched by His generosity. Type 1111 if you believe heaven is listening. This provision will carry more than wealth, it will carry assurance, it will remind you that you are never forgotten, that every step you take in love is written into eternity, and that your Father delights in rewarding those who hold His hand even when the path is dim, and as the miracle unfolds, your heart will know with certainty that His promises are not distant words but living truths, breathing life into your journey day after day. The angels assigned to your life are already arranging the flow of this miracle, aligning opportunities, opening doors that once remained closed, and guiding people into your path who will play a part in the unfolding of God's generosity, and soon you will recognize that none of it happened by chance, for divine order is weaving every detail together into a testimony that will cause your spirit to rise with wonder and gratitude. God's happiness over you springs from the way you have loved Him without asking for reward, for pure love is a fragrance that reaches His heart unlike anything else, and this fragrance has risen like incense before His throne, stirring His delight, and now He pours out blessing not only as provision but also as confirmation that your devotion has touched heaven in ways words cannot describe, becoming a song of love returned to you in the language of abundance. So hold this promise close to your heart, allow peace to cover you, and trust that the gates of blessing remain wide open, for the miracle is not an empty dream but a reality already unfolding, and very soon you will walk into a new season where your needs are met, your worries are lifted, and your spirit is free to rejoice, for the hand of God is resting upon you, guiding you into the fullness of His endless care. Archangel Michael says, "The miracle that heaven has prepared for you is now pressing closer than ever before, and though the world may have told you that such blessings are far away, the truth written by God is that His generosity cannot be delayed by human doubt, for He has chosen to show you that your trust has not been in vain, and the abundance that is coming carries His personal touch, filled with kindness and wrapped in eternal love." The financial blessing is not simply a gift to ease your earthly struggles, it is also a sign of the deep relationship you share with your Creator, for He sees not only your needs but also your heart, and in that heart He has found devotion, humility, and pure affection that does not waver when storms arise, and this kind of love has moved Him to open the gates of blessing wider than you have ever known, letting streams of provision flow into every dry place of your life. Type 1010 to affirm that God's timing is perfect. Imagine these blessings as golden rays breaking through heavy clouds, each one carrying warmth, light, and renewal, spreading across your days until every shadow of worry has been dissolved, and as this light settles in your home, you will discover that what once felt empty has been filled, what once felt uncertain has been secured, and what once seemed unreachable has now been placed gently into your hands by the One who delights in giving good gifts to His beloved. The joy in God's heart over your unconditional love is like a river that cannot be contained, and that joy is what fuels the miracle you are about to see, for it is not because you demanded or insisted, but because you gave him your affection without asking for reward, and such devotion has risen higher than words, becoming a fragrance before his throne, where it has stirred his delight and released waves of blessing that now move toward you with unstoppable power. Every prayer you thought was hidden in silence has been gathered into heaven's storehouse, where none of your tears, sacrifices, or whispered words were ever lost, and now they return to you transformed, no longer as burdens but as blessings, no longer as waiting but as fulfillment, because God never ignores the cries of his children, and what once felt unanswered will now be revealed as perfectly timed, arriving at the exact moment you needed it most. This miracle will do more than bring financial relief. It will open your heart to a new depth of peace, showing you that you are held not only in times of plenty but also in seasons of uncertainty, and it will remind you that the foundation of your life is not built on wealth itself but on the eternal love of God, who gives freely and abundantly so that your faith may shine brighter and your testimony may inspire others to trust him as you have done. Even now, angels are arranging divine encounters, shifting circumstances, and aligning opportunities in ways you cannot yet see, and when the pieces fall together you will realize that none of it happened by chance, for the fingerprints of God will be all over the details, proving that his care extends not only to the great needs of your life but also to the smallest desires of your heart, because his love reaches into every corner without leaving anything untouched. So allow your spirit to rise in expectation, not with fear of disappointment but with the certainty that God's word over you is alive, his promises are true, and his timing is flawless, for soon the financial miracle will stand as undeniable proof of his nearness, filling your life with joy that cannot be taken away, and leaving you with a heart overflowing in gratitude, resting safely in the embrace of the one who has never failed you. Archangel Michael says, "The miracle that has been promised is now moving with unstoppable strength, carried by the breath of heaven itself, and every barrier that once seemed like a wall before you is now being broken down by the power of God's hand, for he has declared that your season of waiting has turned into a season of receiving, and what was once delayed is now flowing into your life as an undeniable sign of his unfailing love and unshakable faithfulness." Type 999 if you trust Jesus with all your heart. This financial blessing that approaches is not merely about the numbers it will bring, but about the peace and joy that will settle into your spirit as you see how tenderly God provides, because he is not a father who gives halfway or leaves his children lacking. Instead, he opens the storehouses of heaven and pours out what is needed with grace, with kindness, and with a completeness that leaves no room for fear or doubt to remain in your heart. Think of this miracle as a gentle rain falling upon soil that had long been dry, each drop soaking deep, reviving what seemed lifeless, awakening seeds that had been buried in silence, and causing them to sprout into life. And just as rain nourishes both the earth and the soul of those who witness it, this blessing will revive your strength, restore your confidence, and remind you that God's care is endless and his timing is perfect beyond measure. The joy that fills heaven because of your love is like a melody that never ceases. A song of devotion that rises from your heart has reached the throne of God, and he has chosen to answer it not only with words but with action, sending this financial miracle as proof that your faith has not gone unseen, your sacrifices have not gone unnoticed, and your tears have not been forgotten. For every step of trust you took is now returning as a river of blessings rushing into your life. Even the hardships you faced have become part of this testimony, for they shaped your heart into a vessel that could carry this blessing without fear, teaching you patience, deepening your trust, and strengthening your devotion. And now, when the miracle arrives, you will not only rejoice in what you receive but also in the journey that brought you here, realizing that every valley prepared you for the mountain of provision you are about to stand upon. This miracle is more than a gift, it is a reminder that God's heart beats with affection for you, that His eyes never left you in your struggles, and that His hand has always been guiding you toward this very moment, and as it unfolds you will see His fingerprints upon every detail, from the opportunities that open before you to the peace that fills your nights, showing you that His blessings are always perfectly tailored to your life and your needs. The angels have been moving tirelessly on your behalf, carrying out the will of God with joy, shifting circumstances that once seemed immovable, and aligning people and places to form the pathway for this blessing to arrive. And soon, when you step into what has been prepared, you will realize that none of it was coincidence, but rather a divine arrangement, carefully woven together by the wisdom and care of the one who holds your destiny in His hands. Type "I love God" to claim abundance through God's love. So let your heart rest in hope, let your spirit rise in gratitude, and let your faith shine brighter with every passing day, for the miracle is already near, the blessing is already in motion, and soon you will find yourself surrounded by abundance that speaks louder than any doubt, wrapped in peace that no storm can take away, and lifted into a new season where God's love is not only felt but seen in every area of your life. Archangel Michael says, "The miracle that is being poured out from heaven is already woven into the story of your days, and though the journey has carried you through shadows and valleys of waiting, now the light of God's promise is stretching across your horizon with a radiance that cannot be dimmed, because He has chosen to lift you into a season where His abundance will speak louder than your struggles and His provision will silence every worry that once weighed heavily on your heart." The financial blessing that approaches carries within it the fullness of God's care, for He does not give sparingly or reluctantly, but with a generosity that flows from His love, and this generosity is not limited to meeting your needs alone, it will also strengthen your spirit, lift your hope, and fill your days with peace, reminding you that His presence is not far from you but closer than your breath, surrounding you with a love that sustains and a grace that never runs dry. Picture this miracle as the rising of a golden dawn after a long night, where the darkness that seemed endless is suddenly scattered by beams of light that warm the earth and awaken life once more, and as that light spreads across the sky, so too will this blessing spread through your life, touching not only your present circumstances but also planting security into your future, making sure that what once felt uncertain now stands firm under the care of God's hand. Heaven rejoices over the way you have loved God with no condition, for such love is precious in His sight, and this love has drawn His delight toward you like a magnet that cannot be resisted, and now His delight is expressed in the miracle He is sending, which will arrive not as something small or hidden, but as a testimony that others will see, causing them to marvel at His kindness and inspiring them to believe that His goodness is endless. Every prayer whispered in faith has built a foundation beneath this miracle, for not one word was lost in the silence, and not one tear went unnoticed, and now the storehouses of heaven are opening because your faith has reached its appointed hour, and as the blessing flows into your life, you will understand that even the waiting was sacred, for it allowed the gift to come at a moment where it would be treasured deeply and received with a heart overflowing in gratitude. The blessing is not simply about wealth, it is about restoration, about showing you that God is attentive to every detail of your life, and that His promises are not distant or vague but living and active, reaching into your reality with precision and tenderness. And as you receive, you will know without doubt that this miracle is not a coincidence or the work of man, but the direct response of a God who loves you with a love beyond measure. Type 1818 to claim miracles and breakthroughs. Even now, unseen hands are at work preparing the way, angels moving quietly yet powerfully, arranging circumstances, opening pathways, and guiding you gently into the fullness of what is about to unfold, and soon you will look back with wonder, realizing that what once seemed random was actually divine order, each step leading you here, each delay preparing something greater, until the blessing arrives in a way that leaves no room for doubt. So lift your heart in quiet expectation, let peace be the anchor of your days, and know that the gates of blessing remain wide open above you, for the miracle is already moving toward you with unstoppable strength, carrying with it the fragrance of heaven's joy and the certainty of God's promises, and very soon your life will shine as a living testimony that His love never fails, His timing is flawless, and His blessings always arrive at the perfect moment. Archangel Michael says, "The blessing that is being released over your life has already been written into the rhythm of heaven, and now it is unfolding like a song that has reached its most beautiful note, filling the atmosphere of your home with a presence that is both tender and powerful, for God has seen the devotion you have carried in your heart, and He has chosen this season to clothe you with abundance that will overflow far beyond what you imagined possible." This financial miracle is more than the meeting of needs, it is a stream of divine provision that will water the dry places of your journey, bringing freshness to areas that had grown weary under the weight of waiting, and as it flows into your life you will feel a release of burdens you once thought would remain forever, because when heaven opens its hand, nothing remains empty, and when God declares blessing, no force can keep it from reaching its appointed place. See this miracle as a door standing wide open, leading you into a room filled with light, where every shadow disappears and every corner shines with promise, for God is not sending you halfway answers or partial relief, but a complete expression of His love, one that reminds you that your life is valuable, your faith is precious, and your trust has been the very seed that brought forth this moment of abundant harvest. Heaven is rejoicing over the purity of your love, the way you chose to hold on to God even when the days felt heavy, and that joy has stirred the release of blessings that move toward you now with unstoppable certainty, for your devotion has reached His throne like a fragrance that cannot be ignored, and now His delight is expressed not only in words of comfort but in actions that will shift your life into a season of freedom, provision, and unshakable peace. Every sacrifice you made in silence has been gathered and treasured, every choice to love Him without expecting reward has been honored, and now those moments return to you as blessings multiplied, proving that nothing done in love is ever wasted, for God takes even the smallest gesture of faith and transforms it into a river of miracles, flowing into your days with strength and gentleness, shaping your future with care beyond what you can see. Type 1717 to affirm your life is in God's hands. This financial miracle carries with it a message deeper than wealth, for it is heaven's way of reminding you that you are never alone, that even when you thought your prayers were hidden in silence, they were being heard, answered, and prepared in the background, and now they return to you in a form so complete that you will understand why waiting was necessary, because only now could you see the fullness of His love expressed in such detail. Even as you read these words, the angels are surrounding your path, guiding you toward the doors that have been unlocked for your blessing to arrive, removing obstacles that once blocked your way, and arranging encounters that will serve as stepping stones into the abundance God has designed for you. And when the miracle is revealed, you will look back and know that every detail was divinely orchestrated to remind you of His constant presence. So let your heart lift in gratitude, let your soul rest in peace, and let your faith remain strong, for heaven's gates have not closed, they remain wide open above your life, pouring out streams of favor, healing, and provision, and very soon you will stand in the fullness of a season where your needs are met, your worries are silenced, and your testimony shines brightly, declaring to all that God's love is faithful, His timing is perfect, and His blessings never fail. Archangel Michael says, "The miracle that heaven has prepared is drawing nearer with every breath you take, and though your journey has been marked by moments of waiting, the time has now arrived for the abundance of God to flow into your home like a river that cannot be contained, for His love for you has remained constant through every season, and His delight in your devotion has stirred the release of blessings that will cover your life in ways more wonderful than you ever dreamed." The financial blessing that approaches will not only remove the burdens that weighed heavily upon your heart, but it will also bring a new peace into your spirit, for God is not a giver of half measures, He pours out His kindness until it overflows, making sure that the miracle is not just about provision but also about transformation, a renewal of hope that touches every corner of your soul, reminding you that His hand is steady and His care is endless. Imagine this blessing as a tree planted in the middle of your life, its roots deep and unshakable, its branches wide and filled with fruit, providing shelter, nourishment, and beauty for all who come near, and just as the tree remains steady in every season, so too will this miracle remain in your life, not fading away with time but standing as a testimony of God's goodness that endures from this moment into the days and years to come. The gates of blessing are open wide because of the unconditional love you have shown, a love that never demanded but simply trusted, a love that held firm in the silence, and this has risen like a song into heaven, filling it with joy that cannot be measured, and now that joy has turned into movement, sending angels forth to deliver into your life a miracle that carries the fragrance of heaven's delight and the assurance of God's unshakable promises. Every moment of faithfulness, even the smallest, has been recorded and remembered, and now those moments return to you multiplied, for nothing done in love is ever forgotten, and the reward of your devotion is not only the provision of today but also the unfolding of opportunities that will continue to bless your tomorrow, because God does not bless once and withdraw, He continues to sustain, provide, and nurture with the faithfulness of a Father who never abandons. Type Amen if you surrender fully to God's will. This miracle will come not with confusion but with clarity, not with fear but with confidence, and when it rests upon your life you will know with certainty that it was sent by the hand of God, for the timing, the way, and the fullness of it will bear His signature, and you will realize that no power on earth or in the heavens could have kept it from you, because it was prepared, protected, and delivered by His will alone. Even now, Angels walk beside you, ensuring that no barrier remains to block what is meant for you, shifting what once seemed immovable, softening what once felt hard, and arranging every detail so that when the miracle arrives it will do so perfectly, leaving you without doubt that this was not chance but divine design, a gift prepared by God's love and delivered in His perfect time. So let hope be the song of your heart, let gratitude rise like a fragrance from your spirit, and let peace cover you like a cloak, for the gates of blessing remain open, the miracle is already in motion, and soon your life will shine with a testimony so bright that it will speak of God's kindness louder than words ever could, declaring to all who see it that His love is true, His promises are alive, and His blessings never fail. Archangel Michael says, "The miracle that is on its way has already been sealed by the voice of heaven, and nothing in this world can hold it back, for the time has come for God's abundance to touch your life in a way that will lift you out of the shadows of worry and place you into the light of joy, because He has delighted in your unwavering love, and His heart is now pouring out blessings that will surround you with peace, provision, and the sweetness of hope fulfilled." The financial blessing arriving at your doorstep is more than an answer to temporary need, it is a stream of provision that will continue to flow, bringing steadiness where there was uncertainty, and security where there was fear, for God's way of giving is never shallow or incomplete. He provides in such a way that your spirit finds rest, your heart finds comfort, and your soul rises with gratitude that cannot be silenced, because you know the miracle came directly from His loving hand. Picture this blessing as a golden lamp placed in the center of your life, its light spilling into every corner, banishing shadows that once seemed permanent, and filling the air with warmth that renews your strength. And just as a lamp continues to shine as long as it is filled with oil, so too will this miracle continue to glow within your days, fueled not by chance or effort alone but by the everlasting love of God, who delights in sustaining His children with grace. The heavens opened because your devotion reached higher than words, your love rose like incense before the throne of God, carrying with it the fragrance of trust, humility, and faith, and that fragrance stirred His joy in such a way that He has chosen to bless you with generosity beyond measure, sending not only financial provision but also peace that will guard your heart, and favor that will follow you wherever you go. Every silent prayer you prayed in faith has been gathered like precious jewels in God's storehouse, and now He opens His hand to return them to you, not in the same form as they were given but multiplied, polished, and shining with His goodness, so that what once felt unanswered now appears before you as a blessing perfectly timed, proving that His delays were never denials but preparations for something greater than you ever imagined. This miracle will teach your heart to rest in God's timing with even more confidence, because once you see the fullness of His provision, you will understand that nothing was wasted, not a tear, not a sigh, not a single moment of waiting, for each one was woven into the story of your breakthrough, and now the threads have come together to reveal a picture of His faithfulness so radiant that it will leave you in awe of His unending care. The angels of the Lord are working without ceasing, carrying blessings from the heavenly realms into the fabric of your life, preparing opportunities, guiding conversations, and aligning paths so that nothing is missing when the miracle arrives, and when it does you will recognize their quiet work, for the details will come together in such perfection that you will know without doubt this was not human effort but divine orchestration. Type 1515 to receive peace in your soul today. So open your heart in thanksgiving, Let peace cover your thoughts like a gentle blanket, and allow your faith to shine brighter than ever before, for the financial miracle is no longer a distant promise, it is a living reality moving toward you, carrying with it the sweetness of God's joy, the abundance of His love, and the unshakable truth that He has chosen to bless you because you loved Him with a heart that never let go. Archangel Michael says, "The miracle that has been appointed for your life is already unfolding in the unseen, and though your eyes may not yet witness its fullness, the heavens have already declared it complete, for God has prepared a blessing so vast that it will touch not only your present circumstances but also the future of your home, ensuring that His light remains upon you and that your steps are guided by His favor in every season to come." The financial blessing being released is a manifestation of His joy in your love, for you have embraced Him without condition, trusting even when the path was clouded, holding on even when silence seemed heavy, and such love has risen like a radiant fire before His throne, drawing His delight, and now that delight has turned into action, sending angels forth to deliver into your life provision that will not be fleeting, but enduring, steady, and overflowing. Picture this miracle as a vast ocean, its waves rolling endlessly toward the shore, each wave bringing treasures from the deep, and just as the tide cannot be stopped from reaching the land, so too this blessing cannot be withheld, for it moves with unstoppable certainty, carrying peace into your heart, strength into your spirit, and abundance into your hands, reminding you that the promises of God are as sure as the rising of the sun. The gates of heaven have swung open wide because of your faithfulness, and what flows from those gates is not only wealth in earthly form but also a stream of spiritual renewal, for God never blesses only the surface of life, He blesses the depths, and as this miracle unfolds you will find that worry is replaced with calm, doubt is replaced with trust, and fear is replaced with courage, for His blessings heal more than circumstances. They heal the soul. Every moment of devotion you offered, every word of love whispered in prayer, has been treasured in eternity, and now they return to you as answered promises, not in fragments but in fullness, for God does not return what is given in love without multiplying it beyond measure, and this multiplication is the very essence of the miracle that approaches, showing you that His generosity is limitless and His timing flawless. The miracle carries with it a testimony, for when it arrives it will not be silent, it will shine through your life like a lantern set upon a hill, drawing the attention of others to the faithfulness of God, and in this way, your story will become a living message, encouraging weary hearts, lifting broken spirits, and pointing others toward the truth that God is good, and His love is more than enough for every need. Even now, angels are arranging the path before you, ensuring that nothing stands in the way of the blessing's arrival, smoothing rough places, removing hidden obstacles, and guiding you into divine appointments where the provision of heaven will meet you at just the right moment. And when you look back you will see how every delay, every detour, and every struggle was only a step leading you closer to this hour of release. Type 1414 to step into divine protection. So let peace cover you like a soft garment, let gratitude rise from within you like a gentle flame, and let your heart rest in the certainty that what God has begun, He will complete. For the financial miracle is not only on its way, it is already breaking through, carrying with it heaven's joy, earth's renewal, and the eternal promise that the love of God will always provide, always sustain, and always remain. Archangel Michael says, The blessing that heaven has prepared for you is now descending like a gentle rain after a long season of dryness, soaking every area of your life with renewal, and as each drop falls it carries with it the kindness of God's heart, for He has looked upon your love with delight, and He has chosen to reward your faith with a miracle that will not only sustain you in this moment but also carry you into a future secured by His endless care. The financial miracle coming to your home is not simply about meeting urgent needs, it is about opening a flow of abundance that brings stability, healing, and hope into your spirit, for when God provides, He does so in a way that leaves no space for fear. He fills both the empty hands and the weary heart, and His blessings touch the visible and the unseen, reminding you that you are completely covered by His grace. Imagine this blessing as a field that has been barren for many years, the soil dry and silent, yet beneath the surface unseen roots were forming, and now as the rains of heaven fall, that field bursts into life with harvests so plentiful that it surprises even the one who planted the seed, and just as the farmer rejoices in the abundance of fruit, so too will your heart rejoice when the miracle arrives. For you will see that every season of waiting was preparing for this great reward. The joy of God over your devotion is like the rising of a sun that never sets, shining with steady warmth, filling the heavens with light, and this joy has become the force behind the miracle, for He is not blessing you reluctantly but with overflowing gladness, because your love was pure, your faith was steadfast, and your heart held Him close even when silence pressed heavily. And now heaven responds with generosity that cannot be contained. Every prayer you whispered in the night, every tear that fell in secret, has been gathered into the hands of God, and now He returns them to you transformed into blessings, multiplied beyond measure, because nothing offered in faith is ever lost. It is stored in eternity until the moment arrives when heaven declares that the time has come for fulfillment, and now that time is here, the release of your miracle has already begun. This financial blessing is also a message written into your life, telling you that you are seen, valued, and deeply loved, and as it unfolds you will understand that God's hand has been upon you all along, guiding your steps, shaping your path, and arranging every detail so that the miracle would arrive in perfection, not too early and not too late, but in the very moment when its impact would be greatest and its testimony the strongest. The angels around you are moving tirelessly, ensuring that no force of darkness can interfere with what heaven has declared, guarding the treasure that is meant for you, and carrying it into your life with joy, for they delight in carrying out the will of God, and the miracle they deliver will carry with it the unmistakable fragrance of divine care, leaving no doubt that this blessing has come from the heart of your Father. So let your heart rest in calm expectation, let your spirit rejoice even before the miracle is visible, and let gratitude rise like a song within you, for the blessing is already in motion, the miracle is already yours, and very soon your life will shine as living proof that God's love is faithful, His timing is flawless, and His blessings are poured out in abundance for those who love Him without condition. The financial miracle now unfolding carries the fragrance of divine abundance, and it is arriving not by the hands of man but by the will of God, who delights in rewarding the heart that remains steadfast in love, and because your love was not built on conditions, but on trust, He is answering you with more than you asked for, shaping your life into a testimony of His generosity, and opening before you a path where worry is replaced with steady assurance. Imagine this miracle as a mighty river that has been held back by a great dam, and now the hand of God has removed every barrier, allowing the waters to rush freely, covering the land with life, and just as the river nourishes everything in its path, so too will this blessing nourish your spirit, strengthen your body, and refresh your soul, ensuring that no part of your life remains untouched by the outpouring of heaven's care.